Holy cow. Welcome to Donnie's Hangout Adventures. And like I've said a lot, I don't watch much of the current product of WWE because let's be honest, the best days of wrestling or even WWE, I don't care if you're an AEW fanboy, they're pretty much behind us. The best days for me was the Attitude Era and maybe even the Golden Era, the 80s. I don't watch much of the current product. I just keep up to date on what's going on. A lot of the older wrestlers are starting to wind their careers down. And you have somebody like Flair who just refuses to retire. But nonetheless, so last night at Survivor Series, of course you have Roman Reigns he's on hiatus. Once again, he's basically become like Brock as a part-time wrestler and a part-time champion. He just randomly appears, and it could be, they're saying the next defense could be maybe Royal Rumble or even WrestleMania. So basically, Roman didn't show up at Survivor Series. They did have some surprises, like Randy Orton finally coming back after being gone about a year and a half. Randy Orton's been not appearing on. He's had a lot of injuries, and he's been spending time with family and his kids. So, Orton's career might be on the downswing. It's like he's getting ready to retire. And then they had R-Truth, and of course, CM Punk. That's a cat playing in the box. I have never been a big CM Punk fan. If he appeared on the show, appeared on the Raw, okay, I'd watch one of his promos. He had good promos. I could do without watching one of his matches. I just was never a big CM Punk fan. I just never was. He's one that shouldn't be in wrestling, but he doesn't make a good corporate pet. Because he just speaks his mind about stuff. And that seems to ruffle people's feathers. And so, I think he caught lightning in a bottle. You hear about this in sports like football, basketball, baseball. They have a mediocre career for like 15 years. And then there's that 2 years where they're fantastic. That's what I pretty much sum up with Punk. Good career. He's had some decent matches. But I think his apex of his career was 2011, 2013. That was pretty much it right there. Right there is the essence of Punk's career. He did that pipe bomb. He had caught lightning in a bottle. And he became he held the WWE Championship for 434 days. That's pretty much it with Punk. It really is. And then if you remember, I remember it like it was yesterday. After Punk lost the WWE Championship to The Rock, who was also a part-timer, especially at that time, and then he was having creative differences with the front office on some of the decisions they did for matches, and he didn't like the way the creative process was going. So he was bitching and moaning. This is a common thing in wrestling. It always has been. And unless you're like a Hogan, when you have full control of creative, you're going to get this from every wrestler. They tend to, gripe when things are not going their way. But a lot of times, the company guys, like Cena, The Undertaker, people like that, they don't care. They just go ahead and do their business. They may not like they may not like it, but they're a company guy. Punk is not a company guy. He never has been. He's always done things his way or the highway. That's why I'm not a fan of Punk. I'm just not a fan of Punk. I never have been. And if you remember, 2014, he started to have his falling outs with Vince and Triple H. That actually went way back before then. But he started having his falling out, and he was bitching and moaning because he was not having he never had a main event at WrestleMania. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of Hall of Famers that never had a main event at WrestleMania. Not everybody can main event a WrestleMania. It's not that easy to do. Look at Undertaker. Undertaker, in his 25 WrestleMania matches, you know how many main events he actually had at WrestleMania? Probably about 3. It was not very common because they like to close the show out like usually a championship match, or in one case they had a triple threat women's match. So it's not easy to main event a WrestleMania. It's like winning a Super Bowl. Look at Dan Marino. Went to one Super Bowl and lost. So not everybody can have a Super Bowl ring. It's just the way it is. So Punk was complaining, and he ended up leaving on really bad terms. And then, for 7 years, Punk was retired. He was completely retired. Well, not completely retired. He did his MMA thing, which, just a cow, how did they do in MMA? Oh, that's right. He was horrible. He was 0-2 in MMA. At least Batista, who did one fight in MMA, said, and he lost, and he goes, holy shit, this is more real than wrestling. I better get out and go into acting. That's what Batista did. Batista was the smarter one of the two. Punk was not. So Punk went on these random tirades. This is why I'm talking about this. Because I'm surprised Vince ain't doing the everyday business side of the WWE. Because Vince, let's face it, his mind is mush as it is right now. Triple H, who's doing the business side of the business side of WWE, because he married the boss's daughter, so he can do that. So he's CEO, whatever the hell he is. So for 7 years, Punk would go on record talking about WWE, and a lot of times, actually, no, every time he talked about WWE, it was not in good light. He even said at one point that he wasn't going to work for, how did he put it? I can't remember exactly how he put it. I put it in a comment on Facebook. But every time he talked about WWE, it wasn't in good light. He totally put them down for the entire time he goes on these tirades that he did for 7 years. Punk was retired in all essence. 2014 to 2021, when he went back into wrestling, into AEW, and his AEW stint is met with mixed reviews. It's mixed. He did okay. But he was starting to become a little injury prone and starting to botch a lot of his moves. Punk's not that old. He's only 45. But he was starting to become a little bit injury prone, but he had a torn meniscus and a broken foot in the same year. In 2022. So, when Punk left AEW, a lot of people figured Punk was retiring. Figured he had done what he could do. But, as you know, last night Punk returns at the Survivor Series. I don't think this is going to go well. I really don't. I think that this could fall completely flat because Punk is one of those wrestlers. He's one of those that they're going to have to give him the freaking moon, literally. Because if he's not getting his way, if he's not getting what's... If Triple H is like any other promoter, he's going to lie to Punk to get him to sign. Let's be honest. And unless they're not coming through on those promises, and I'm sure one of those promises is to be World Heavyweight Champion. Let's be honest, that's the one reason Punk's there, more than likely, is to become World Champion again. Do we really want to see a Punk and Reigns? Not particularly. Do we want to see a Punk and Seth Rollins? No, been there, done that. We've already seen that. And we've already seen Punk versus Reigns, I think. I don't know. I don't really remember those two wrestled or not. I think that was like the Shield days. No, anyway, so if Punk's not getting his way, which is possible, that if he doesn't get his WrestleMania main event that he wants, he's not going to be happy. Let's be honest. Who can you think of in WWE, besides Reigns and Rollins, that Punk would have a main event match with at WrestleMania? I can't think of any. And this is... A lot of people, a lot of wrestlers have shown their displeasure with Punk making his return at Survivor Series. A lot of people didn't see this coming. I didn't see it coming. I don't think it's going to be a long-term deal with Punk. Because once he starts not getting what he wants, and he starts having creative differences with the creative team again, he's going to start bitching and moaning and complaining, and he'll ask for his release. And I've said it here. That's exactly what's going to happen. Because Punk, it's just this is what happened the last time. This is what happened the last time with Punk, and it's going to happen this time. I can almost guarantee it. Because Punk is one of those employees in wrestling. You don't hear them often. They're not good corporate pets. And Punk is not. I think this is met with mixed reviews. Orton return, I think, was better. But at least you know Orton is a company guy. Punk, he's not. And this re-signing is going to fall flat. That's all, folks.